and welcome to this short lecture on the importance of research in Scottish country dancing. My name's Peter Knapman and I'm a member of the RSCDS research group. You might be asking yourself the questions, why do we need research? Don't we know everything? And what purpose does digging at the past serve anyway? Well, I kind of feel it keeps us connected to our cultural roots. And there's a well-known phrase about it: losing sight of your history and the culture risk making us like a tree without roots. And have we lost our connection with the past? Society has published more than 750 dances, a majority of which are claimed as being traditional. But since 1986, we've only actually published 2 books that contain any traditional dances. There's the 5 leaflet dances in 1998 and the Walter Scott dances in 2021. Today's programs are frequently dominated by modern dances, but why do we ignore so many of our older dances? I'm also minded of a saying that I heard Phil Cunningham say some years ago. He was talking about music, but it applies equally to dancing, particularly in Scottish country dancing, where the music and the dance are so interlinked. Playing music is a bit like travelling in time. It evokes emotions and wakens memories, but it also connects us to people and communities who played and shared the music in another time. What about the dances we don't dance? Now, of our traditional dances, many are excellent reconstructions. They have stood as well. Some, however, are slightly less than perfect and could almost be considered to be undanceable. So what are we going to do with them? Ignore them? Treat them as an interesting challenge for day schools? We could do that, but we could also find the original source instructions and create an alternative modern version of the dance. And this would definitely help the society keep in touch with its roots. Not without its problems. Interpreting historic dance instructions can be a challenge. They're often short and cryptic. There's limited description of what some of the figures mean, but we all should remember the society did not have access to as much information in its early days as we do today. And you should never forget that country dances were not intended to be difficult. So if we made something too challenging, then we probably got it wrong. Let's have a look at a dance. Miss Cahoon's Reel, which was published in 1945 in book 13 as an 8x48 bar jig. It's rarely danced. So the first couple set and cast off. I have no point in going through all this, but it's a set and cast and circle, and the ones do something on their own, and then there's a corner partner, and 2 reels, one on the opposite side and one on your own side. If you ever danced the dance, you'll know that bits of this dance are a wee bit of a challenge. But if you look at the original instructions, you'll find that the instructions were dominated by the music rather than by the instruction for the dance itself. But we can, they're just cryptic notes in many ways. We'll have a look at those in a bit of detail. So it was published in 1769 by Robert Bremner, who was an Edinburgh publisher, though he also opened an office in London, and this particular book was published from his London office. And if you look at it, it's clearly a 64 bar dance if you break it up. So you've got first couples casting and then circling, casting back and circling in 16 bars, cross over 2 couples, lead up to the top, foot it and cast off, another 16 bars, and then a corner partner in 16 bars, and then 2 reels. So how can we reconstruct it? So the first 16 bars are very easy to interpret. It's a 4 bar cast, a circle once round with the third couple, and a 4 bar cast up, and a circle once round with the second couple. 4 bar casts were remarkably common in 18th century dances. They have nearly always been interpreted by the RSCDS as set and cast for reasons that are unclear. Then 17 to 32, the ones have got a wee bit to do on their own here. They're going to cross over two couples, lead up to the top, foot it and cast it off. The Book 9 interpretation of this compresses all that into 16 bars, which is very, very challenging, as you really need a bit more than 8 bars to do the society instructions. So let's keep it as 16 bars. The first couple cross right hand, cast off, cross right hand again, and cast off into third place. Dance to the top, set and cast off into second place. The crossover two couples definitely means cross and cast, cross and cast. We now know this. People probably didn't know this in the early days because we have better access now to dancing manuals from the 18th and 19th century. So the next 16 bars, basically a corner partner, very familiar movement, but taking twice as much music as we would normally allow for it. The Book 9 interpretation has turned it into a standard 8-bar corner partner, but keeping it as a 16-bar corner partner is actually remarkably nice. It changes the nature of the formation, strangely very common in 18th century dances. And then you've got the two reels at the end, one on the opposite side and one on your own side. The Book 9 interpretation is a bit uncomfortable. It involves a change in direction for the second and the third couples between the first and second reels. But if you, having now got a 16-bar corner partner, you've got more time to determine how you might want to start these reels. But we might ask the question, what do we know historically about reels on the opposite side followed by reels on your own side? This is one formation that's actually remarkably limited information. Every time you see that, it shows the one starting in top place with a diagonal crossing down onto the opposite side, as in Maxwell's rant. It doesn't say anything about when the ones are in the second place. So what could we do? There are options. We could do them symmetrically, passing second corner by the right and left. You can do them parallel. But whatever choice we make, we need to have consideration about how easy it is to dance and what happens next. So ideally, the second reel, the first couple, should replace the position of their partner. And you need to consider how the first couple could progress to third place. And we need to think about the start of the next turn through the dance for the second couple, who have become the new ones. So the solution we've adopted is basically to do a standard reels on opposite side, reels on your own side, but with the ones starting in second place. So the ones dance out and down on the opposite side, while the threes dance in and up. And then when the ones get to the top, they then cross diagonally back into second place on their own side of the dance and carry on the reel. And at the end of the dance, they just accelerate slightly. The threes dance in and up, and the ones cast off, and the twos are ready to become the new top couples, and they're facing in the correct direction. Before we look at the dance, it's quite nice to have a think about the music. With the music as written, played twice through, we get 64 bars, and there's a very strong connection between each strain of the music and what the dancers are dancing. So the A music is used for the cast and the circle, and the cast and circle back. The B music, played twice, is used for the ones solo, dancing to the bottom, cross and cast, leading up to the top and casting off into second place after setting. The A music, played again, is used for the corner partner, and finally the B music is used for the reels. Well, that's an interpretation of Miss Cahoon's reel as a 3x64 bar dance. But if you'd like to know what it's like to dance, we'll have a look at that now. That was just a once and a bit through Miss Cahoon in a 3x64 bar jig. I hope you enjoyed seeing Miss Cahoon in a new light. And remember that keeping in touch with the history of Scottish social dance should be an important aspect of what we do. It's been great fun putting this together. I'd like to pay thanks to the dancers of the Glasgow Advanced class, their teacher Carol Ann Knox, Ailey Hart for assistance making sure the video was taken correctly, Martin Scheme for supplying the excellent music, and members of the research group. Thank you.